歡迎收睇美國專訊。雖然美國喺聯邦嘅層面上係禁止使用大麻，但喺地方上對大麻嘅醫學研究咧就有所進展。下邊係記者費多嘅報導。
How have things been going as far as your back? I remember you had some back trouble that was getting in the way of your work.
I do, yeah. It's been going on for a while. I've worked in the operating room for many years, and
I went to Tufts Medical School here in Massachusetts. I went to Boston University School of Medicine for residency in family medicine, and I practiced family medicine like your old traditional general practitioner or primary care doctor here in the suburbs of Boston. And I was faced with an onslaught of patients. I mean, primary care doctors are in short supply these days. And my patients that I would see, are trying everything they can to get better, as they should. And at the time, I could only offer them the choices that I'd learned about. And in medical school, you learn about medicines, you learn about therapies, you learn about sort of natural options, but only in cursory. And patients were telling me that they were trying cannabis and that it was helping them. And I'm sitting across the table saying, great, I'm glad for you. I don't know how to help you. I didn't know anything at the time. And this was embarrassing and it felt unprofessional. Here I was across the table, supposed to be the expert in the room, and my patients are the ones teaching me what's helping them sleep or have headache, deal with their headaches. And I thought, boy, isn't this a great opportunity for me to learn something and be able to help people? So inside this keef are tiny little, basically dusts of cannabis molecules. And it's almost as if we digested an entire pharmacy into that powder. I've built the largest cannabis library of published medical journals anywhere in the world. And I put it on a Google Drive that everybody else in the world who wants to read can follow along. They can read the material same like I'm reading. And I started to tease out, okay, what kinds of things do we know about THC? And I would write it down. And what kinds of things are we learning about CBC? And I would write that down. And as I'm learning, I'm also organizing so that I can build an infrastructure to teach people. I think if you look at the last 3 years, cannabis has already revolutionized the world. I mean, we have all but 3 states now that have some form of cannabis accepted legally by the state. And that used to be nothing. And so we've already come a tremendous amount. I think to go past the finish line, we're going to need doctors to buy in. And in order for doctors to buy in, they need to be educated. So one of the things that I tried to do was not confront them as a pom-pom cheerleader that cannabis is all great, because it's not all great. It's a tool in a toolbox. There are many other things that work for people. Cannabis is a tool which works, but we have to help physicians understand that.
剪紙藝術喺世界各地都有迅速嘅發展。下邊係我哋嘅記者韋斯去介紹一名喺阿拉斯加州嘅剪紙藝術家。
I started cutting paper when I was in high school. I just played around with it for years. And then I went to college and I studied drawing. And in my 3rd drawing class, I did a project where I ended up cutting the drawing out of black paper. And I brought it into the professor and she was like, oh my gosh, this is what you do. Like you cut paper. I'm Felisa Higman and I'm a cut paper artist in Sylvia, Alaska. We're here at my studio. My dad and my grandfather built the house and the shop that I work in. It's kind of designed to be a creative space. It was a different sort of creativity, but it feels really good for just inspiration and making things. I feel like Alaska's different than anywhere else, and having grown up here, I didn't want anything more than to just get out. I decided I really just wanted to travel around the world and see everything and go everywhere and live somewhere with more people and more options. My seat's too cold to sit on yet. The first year it was just like everything was great, like there's so many things to see and people to meet. But then by the 2nd year, I started to realize that like people's values were a lot different than mine. And so I miss being in a place where like you have to think about things. You don't just go buy things if they're broken. You have to really think about what you need and what you just want. Living off the highway system in rural Alaska, there's less separation between outdoor life and indoor life. There's definitely frustrations, but it's better to be frustrated than it is to be bored. I have all this beauty around me. I want to be able to send that out into the world and share that with people.
多謝收睇美國專訊，下次嘅節目時間再見。